let's talk about the performance that Amanda Nunes had over Felicia Spencer. I mean, I
Flawless.
knew it was flawless, bro. I thought she was, obviously we know who Amanda is, but she wiped her out. I mean, it was crazy because as I went through the week, so many people were starting to buy into the Felicia Spencer hype, and it wasn't really a competition. It was like a sparring session. Amanda was that far out ahead of Felicia last weekend.
The best thing that Felicia did in that fight was that she absorbed an incredible amount of damage. There wasn't a single moment where we thought that Amanda was in trouble. There wasn't a single moment where it seemed like, okay, Felicia's got something going on here, landed a big punch, nothing. In fact, in the first 90 seconds, I thought she was going to get knocked out. Like, I can't imagine. Her chin is incredible. Felicia's chin is incredible. The fact that she kept on coming was amazing. But I think we were reminded once again that the gap at 145 and 135 is just massive between Amanda. I thought that was one of her best performances. There's not a single thing that I look at that fight and say, yeah, she could have done this a little better. Maybe finish her, right? But it's just, Felicia's just so tough. I think you can make a case for at least 2 10-8 rounds in that fight, right?
The fight was it wasn't competitive in the least bit. Felicia Spencer showed her durability, but we knew she had that, right? Because she took all those strikes from Cyborg, but she got washed out. It was not competitive. It once again showed that there's one person in the world that can fight Amanda Nunes, and that's the champion at 125. Right now, unless someone completely separates themselves in both of these divisions, there's never going to be a time where she goes into a fight and you wonder if she's going to lose the way that she's been fighting. Now, here's the deal. We talked about this a lot on the broadcast. Somebody bet $1 million to make 165. Has there ever been $1 million bet that seems so safe in hindsight? Right?
By the way, there's never been $1 million bet in MMA. That was the biggest bet in the history of MMA betting.
But it seemed so safe, right? Like, after watching that fight, I know we made the comment in the beginning of the show, wow, dude bet $1 million. But I don't think there's ever been a more secure $165,000 return on anything as it was in the fight between Amanda and Felicia.
Well, I know what people will probably say when they're watching this. Ariel picked Felicia, and I did.
No, I'm trying not to rub it in your face. Like, know that I wanted to lead with that. That
was a homer pick.
But like, I'm being very like respectful to Felicia because I don't want it to seem like I'm messing with her as I try to throw it in your face. Boy, you actually picked Felicia Spencer, and it's like
no regrets. That's right.
You should actually regret it.
No,
you should actually regret it because that was a bad pick. That was a bad pick.
I didn't think Amanda Nunes looked great in December against Jermaine. I thought perhaps,
but did she not? I mean, she fought a world-level kickboxer and took her down the entire time. And honestly, man, watching the fight, Felicia, it doesn't look like. I mean, it just didn't look like she had anything for the champ.
No.
And it was bad. It was really, really bad.
Hindsight is 2020. I admit that, but I have no regrets about the pick. I backed my fellow Montrealer, and obviously, she's got 10 fights. I mean, Nunes' current winning streak is longer than the amount of pro fights that Felicia Spencer has, period. So it's not normal.
You got to be very careful. You got to be very careful here not to start making excuses.
No, I'm not making
right now, you get very close.
Game.
You get very close to that line of making excuses.
No,
well, Amanda has a longer winning streak than Felicia has fights. Like, you're really starting to try to find the silver lining in something where there really isn't a silver lining.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. People brought this up to me. They were mad. You remember when we had the pound for pound discussion? I think it was 2 weeks ago or maybe a week ago. They said you guys didn't mention Amanda Nunes, and that was wrong. Is that wrong? Do you feel like female pound for pound should be separate from male pound for pound?
Yes,
pound for pound?
I do. I think it should stay separate. I think Amanda is right where she needs to be in terms of pound for pound in the female discussion. Overall, pound for pound, I think she's one of the best pound for pound fighters, regardless of gender. I just don't know like where she would fit into that discussion. That's it. Like, I think she is one of the better ones, but when you start to gauge those types of wins, how do you how do you dictate and compare strength to schedule? Because like you said, Felicia has 10 fights. When was the last time someone defending a championship on the other side had to fight and defend the belt against anyone with 10 fights? Do you understand? So it's hard to really compare strength to schedule. And I think that's where the issue comes up in that.
Yeah, I'm okay with the statement that she's one of the 10 best fighters in the world right now, regardless of gender. I've always kept them separate because also, when someone asks me like, who are your top 5 best featherweights on the planet? I don't think to add female
Amanda.
featherweights, right?
No.
Okay, which, are we talking male or female? 125.
Yeah,
I don't know.
it's always separate. It always comes out like separate because that's right.
Yeah.
One thing I saw on Saturday that I didn't agree with, I hadn't saw the female pound for pound rankings, and I love Zhang Weili, but there's no way she should be above Valentina Shevchenko.
She is?
Female pound. She's number 2. She should never be number 2 over Valentina.
Those rankings are, with all due respect, they're a joke.
But there's no way. It's Amanda, Valentina, and then Zhang Weili, and everybody else. But it's Amanda and Valentina and then everybody else because they've completely separated themselves from anybody else in female fighting to this point.
I agree. And if we're doing true rankings and we're including everyone, it's Amanda, Valentina, and Chris Cyborg.
Yes. Amanda, Valentina. If we're doing full-on female pound for pound, Amanda, Valentina, Cyborg, Zhang Weili.
Right.
That's fair. And I think if you're doing it overall. But if it's just UFC, then yes. But Zhang Weili should not be ahead of Valentina Shevchenko.
So usually when someone says that they want a break, it's not a good thing. But I think in this particular case, it is a good thing because she's expecting her first child. Her partner, Nina Ansaroff, is pregnant, expecting their first child in September. And I actually think that would be good for 145 especially, and 135 to allow contenders to kind of emerge. You up because at 145 there's nothing going on. I think Megan Anderson is great. I don't think it would be smart for Megan Anderson to fight Amanda Nunes right now. I think that would not be a good fight for Megan Anderson. I think she has a little more work to do. 135, if she had to come back her next fight at 135, perhaps January or December or something like that. The fight I want to see is Irene Aldana because I think she's looked really good as of late. I think she's won 5 of her last 6. Her last fight was a knockout against Caitlin Vieira, but still, I think there's not a lot of options there. So maybe the best thing is let the contenders emerge.
But as you said with Megan, she's a tough fighter, big. She's very big, would present some stylistic issues, I think, for Amanda. But will she? And for as good as Irina has looked, she still may need a little bit more time to truly become a competitor and a real challenge to Amanda Nunes. There hasn't been a time in Amanda Nunes' fights recently where you think the other person is going to win the fight. I mean, last person was Shevchenko, and how many fights ago was that? It's like you just don't know, and you just don't see anybody right now challenging her, especially considering she now has addressed all the issues that she may have had before in terms of the cardio. Nothing bothers Amanda anymore. She showed that she could wrestle for 25 minutes with Durandamy. And she showed that she could stand and strike for 25 minutes on Saturday, no problem. She didn't even seem fatigued fighting against
Felicia Spencer.
She just kind of did her thing. So, yeah, great for her to take the break, spend some time with Nina. She has built a great life down in Florida. They've done that together. They're going to have their first kid. It's a big time in Amanda Nunes' life. And after a performance like that and 2 victories, in a short period of time, she deserves a break.
Yeah, I don't want to see the Valentina Chilji fight yet. Maybe in a year, let her do her thing at 125. Let her, continue to dominate there, and then maybe in a year you could talk about that.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.